There is a moment, quiet, invisible, yet absolute, when life changes direction. It does not begin with movement on the outside. It begins with recognition on the inside. A recognition so clear that something within you settles, as if it finally remembers who it is. That moment is not coming. It is here. Right now, you are standing at the exact point where the old story loses its authority. The waiting, the hoping, the asking for proof, none of it is required anymore. Because the power you have been searching for in circumstances has always been seated within your awareness. The moment you accept this, the struggle ends and creation begins. This is not about becoming someone new. It is about releasing the false identity that taught you to doubt your own authority. The world you see has only been echoing your inner state faithfully and without judgment. And the instant that state changes, the echo must change with it. Tonight, this is not motivation you are hearing. It is a reminder that your breakthrough does not depend on time, effort, or permission. It depends on assumption. And when assumption shifts, reality obeys. Everything that appears in your life begins as an assumption, held within consciousness. Long before events take shape, before circumstances harden into facts, there is an inner agreement, a quiet yes to an idea of who you are and how life responds to you. This agreement is rarely spoken aloud, yet it governs everything. You do not experience life as it is. You experience life as you assume it to be. An assumption is not a wish, nor is it a hope. A wish implies absence, and hope implies distance. An assumption, however, is a settled expectation. It is the feeling of, this is how things are. When something is assumed, it no longer requires mental effort to maintain. You don't constantly think about it. You simply live from it. This is why assumptions are so powerful. They operate beneath the surface of conscious thought, directing behavior, perception, and reaction automatically. Notice how effortlessly life reflects what you take for granted. If you assume people are unreliable, you will encounter situations that confirm it. If you assume opportunities are scarce, you will overlook open doors even when they are directly in front of you. These patterns are not coincidences, they are confirmations. Life does not argue with your assumptions. It accepts them as instructions and faithfully reproduces them in visible form. The breakthrough begins when you realize that assumptions can be chosen. They are not fixed traits or inherited limitations. They are states of consciousness, and states can be entered and exited. The moment you decide to assume a new truth about yourself, you initiate a new sequence of events. You do not need to know how it will happen. The how belongs to life. Your role is to occupy the state that implies fulfillment. To assume something successfully, you must move beyond mental repetition and into felt certainty. Repeating words without feeling is effort. Assumption is ease. It feels natural, almost ordinary. This is why imagining the end result is so effective. Not as a visualization exercise, but as a way to feel what you would feel if the desire were already fulfilled. That feeling is the seed. Once planted, it grows without your supervision. Many people sabotage this process by checking the outer world too soon. They look for signs, proof, movement. But the outer world is always delayed. It is the shadow, not the substance. When you keep looking outward for confirmation, you silently withdraw your inner assumption and replace it with doubt. True assumption remains unmoved by appearances. It does not deny them. It simply refuses to take them as final. You must understand this clearly. Circumstances do not create assumptions. Assumptions create circumstances. The moment you accept this, blame disappears. You are no longer at the mercy of events, people, or timing. You become the source. This is not about control. It is about responsibility. And responsibility is power, because what you are responsible for, you can change. Persistence is not about forcing belief. It is about returning, gently and repeatedly, to the chosen assumption whenever the mind wanders. Just as you once unconsciously returned to limiting ideas, you now consciously return to empowering ones. Over time, the new assumption hardens into fact, and the old one dissolves from lack of attention. As the assumption stabilizes, you will notice subtle shifts. Your inner dialogue changes. Your reactions soften. Your decisions become more confident. These are not the results. They are the indicators. They show that the inner state has changed, and the outer change is already in motion. What appears later in physical form is merely the final echo. The most important thing to remember is this: you do not get what you want. You get what you assume you are. When you assume yourself to be favored, life treats you that way. When you assume yourself to be worthy, opportunities respond accordingly. There is no force required, no struggle involved. Life flows toward the path of least resistance, and that path is always aligned with your deepest assumption. So choose wisely what you accept as true. Let your assumption be calm, fulfilled, and settled. Stand in it without tension. From this state, creation is inevitable. The moment you assume differently, you begin living in a different world, even if it hasn't caught up yet. Every true desire arises from a place deeper than logic or impulse. It is not random, and it is not cruel. Desire is a signal from within, revealing a reality that already exists at the level of consciousness. If it were not real in some form, you would not be able to feel it, imagine it, or be drawn toward it.
Desire does not come to mock you. It comes to remind you. Most people are taught to treat desire as something external, something to chase, something to earn, something to wait for. This misunderstanding turns desire into struggle. But when you understand desire as inner evidence, the struggle dissolves. The longing you feel is not pointing to absence. It is pointing to presence. It is showing you what is available when you align with the state that matches it. Think carefully about this. You do not desire what you cannot conceive. You do not yearn for experiences that are completely foreign to your inner world. Desire always arrives with a feeling of familiarity, as if you already know what it would be like. That knowing is not imagination, it is recognition. You are recognizing a version of yourself that already exists in consciousness, calling you to occupy it. The mistake many people make is trying to create desire instead of accepting it. They analyze it, doubt it, or suppress it out of fear of disappointment. But desire denied does not disappear. It lingers as dissatisfaction, not because life is withholding, but because the inner alignment has not yet been accepted. Desire fulfilled begins with permission, not from the world, but from yourself. When you allow desire to be valid, something shifts. You stop asking, can this happen? And start asking, what would it feel like if this were already true? This question moves you from wanting into being. Feeling is the bridge. The moment you feel the satisfaction, relief, or gratitude that fulfillment would bring, you step into the state where that desire is natural. This is why forcing outcomes never works. Force implies separation. It assumes the desire is outside of you and must be pulled in. But alignment works because it assumes unity. It knows the desire and the fulfillment come from the same source. When you rest in the feeling of having, life rearranges itself to reflect that inner acceptance. Desire also reveals readiness. It appears when you are capable of sustaining the state it represents. If you were not ready, it would not arise. Life is intelligent. It does not plant seeds in barren ground. Your desire is appearing now because you have reached a level of awareness where fulfillment is possible, not through effort, but through recognition. Do not measure your desire against current circumstances. Circumstances are temporary. Desire is timeless. The outer world is simply the last place alignment shows up. When you honor desire without impatience, you remove resistance. You stop watching the clock and start trusting the process. And trust accelerates everything. Remember this, desire is not asking you to chase something in the distance. It is inviting you to accept something in the present. The moment you accept it as real within, it begins to appear without. What you feel drawn to is already drawing you from the inside. So treat desire with reverence. Sit with it quietly. Feel it fulfilled. Let it inform who you are, not what you lack. When desire is understood this way, it becomes peaceful, not painful. It becomes guidance, not temptation. And in that understanding, fulfillment is no longer a question of if, but when. Now start with topic point 3 and make it a 550 words in a Paris way and must give its main title. Main title, identity precedes manifestation. Nothing enters your life by accident. Every experience, relationship, and outcome flows from the identity you are currently living from. Identity is not your name, your past, or your circumstances. It is the quiet answer you give to the question, who am I being? Especially when no one is watching. That answer shapes your world more powerfully than effort ever could. Most people try to change results without changing identity. They seek better conditions, better treatment, better outcomes, while still seeing themselves through the same inner lens. But life does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you believe yourself to be. When identity remains the same, results may shift temporarily, but they always return to familiar patterns. Identity is a state of consciousness. It determines what feels normal, what feels possible, and what feels deserved. If success feels foreign, it will be resisted. If peace feels unsafe, chaos will be recreated. This is not self-sabotage in the traditional sense. It is self-consistency. The mind always seeks to remain loyal to its current self-concept. The turning point comes when you realize that identity is not fixed. You are not required to earn a new self. You are only required to assume it. Assumption here does not mean pretending. It means accepting a new inner position as true. When you assume a new identity, your thoughts, reactions, and choices naturally reorganize to match it. You do not force behavior. Behavior follows being. Consider how differently you move through life when you feel secure versus when you feel uncertain. The same environment, the same people, yet entirely different experiences. This difference does not come from the world changing. It comes from identity shifting. The outer world is always a mirror, reflecting back the image you hold within. Changing identity begins with awareness of inner dialogue. The way you speak to yourself in private reveals who you believe you are. Do you speak as someone who is chosen or overlooked, capable or limited, supported or alone? These inner conversations are not harmless. They are declarations of identity. And life listens closely. To adopt a new identity, you must first experience it inwardly. Ask yourself, how would I think, feel, and respond if I were already the person I desire to be? Then allow yourself to feel that version of you as natural. This feeling is not excitement. It is familiarity. When a state feels familiar, it becomes dominant. At first, the world may not reflect this new identity. Old patterns may reappear, testing your loyalty to the inner shift. This is not failure. It is transition. Remain faithful to who you are being, not to what you are seeing. The mirror cannot change until the image in front of it is steady. Over time, something subtle but powerful happens. Opportunities that once felt out of reach begin to feel appropriate. Boundaries strengthen. Choices become clearer. You no longer chase what does not match you. This is identity at work. You are no longer asking life to give. You are allowing life to confirm. The most liberating truth is this. You do not manifest what you desire. You manifest what you identify with. When identity changes, manifestation is automatic. You stop trying to get and start allowing. Life no longer feels like a battle. It feels like a collaboration.
So shift the question from how do I make this happen to who would I be if this were already true? Live from that answer quietly, consistently, and without strain. In doing so, you will discover that identity is the doorway through which every transformation enters your life. Everything you experience passes first through the gateway of feeling. Thoughts may introduce ideas and words may describe intentions, but it is feeling that gives them life. Feeling is not emotion in the dramatic sense. It is the quiet inner atmosphere you live in. It is the sense of this is real or this is natural. Whatever you consistently feel is true becomes the condition of your world. Many people try to change their lives by changing their words while leaving their feelings untouched. They repeat affirmations, visualize scenes, and make plans, yet nothing seems to shift. This is because words without feeling are effort, and effort implies lack. Feeling, on the other hand, implies possession. When you feel something is already accomplished, you are no longer reaching for it. You are resting in it. The doorway opens the moment you allow yourself to feel from the end. Ask yourself not what you want, but how you would feel if it were already yours. Relief, gratitude, calm confidence. These feelings are not rewards to be earned later. They are states you can enter now. And when you do, you step through the doorway into a new reality. Feeling works because it bypasses resistance. The mind may argue, analyze, or doubt, but feeling accepts. It settles. When you sink into the feeling of fulfillment, the mind gradually conforms. Inner dialogue softens. The need to control disappears. This is why moments of deep peace often precede sudden breakthroughs. Peace signals acceptance, and acceptance is creative. Do not confuse intensity with effectiveness. You do not need strong emotion or constant excitement. In fact, the most powerful feelings are subtle and stable. A quiet sense of knowing impresses reality far more deeply than bursts of enthusiasm followed by doubt. Think of how naturally you feel about things you already have. There is no effort there, only familiarity. That familiarity is the signature of true assumption. Practice entering this feeling gently. In still moments before sleep or upon waking, allow yourself to relax into the state of having. Let your body soften. Let your breath slow. Feel the normalcy of fulfillment. Not as fantasy, but as fact. These moments are not escapes. They are rehearsals for reality. As you do this, you may notice old feelings rise. Fear, impatience, or unworthiness. Do not fight them. Fighting gives them power. Instead, return to the chosen feeling, again and again with kindness. Each return strengthens the new state. Persistence here is not strain, it is preference. You are simply choosing where to dwell. Over time, the chosen feeling becomes your default. You carry it into conversations, decisions, and reactions. The world begins to respond differently, not because you demand change, but because you are offering a different signal. People sense it. Circumstances align with it. Life always responds to feeling before form. Remember this truth. You do not attract what you want. You express what you feel. Feeling is the language reality understands. When you change the feeling, you change the message. And when the message changes, the response must follow. So treat feeling as sacred. Enter it deliberately. Remain in it gently. Let it become home. The doorway has always been open. You simply had to step through it. What determines the outcome of your life is not what you see, but what you remain loyal to within. Circumstances are temporary formations, shadows cast by past assumptions. Persistence is the decision to stand in a chosen inner state, regardless of what the outer world is showing you. This is not blind optimism. It is understanding cause and effect at the level of consciousness. Most people abandon their inner work too soon. They assume that if the world has not changed, then nothing is happening. But creation does not announce itself at the beginning. It reveals itself at the end. The moment you choose a new assumption, reality begins to rearrange invisibly. To judge by appearances during this phase is to misunderstand how transformation works. Persistence does not mean forcing belief or suppressing doubt. It means gently returning to the assumption whenever attention drifts. Just as old patterns were formed through repeated focus, new patterns are established the same way. The difference is awareness. You are no longer unconsciously reacting. You are consciously choosing. Circumstances often appear most resistant, right before they dissolve. This is not coincidence. Old states attempt to reassert themselves because attention once sustained them. When you persist without reacting, you withdraw energy from the old story. And what is no longer energized cannot survive. Understand this clearly. Reacting to circumstances strengthens them. When you emotionally engage with what you do not want, you confirm it as real and important. Persistence means refusing to grant final authority to appearances. You acknowledge what you see, but you do not let it define you. This is where inner discipline becomes freedom. You stop asking, why hasn't it happened yet? And start affirming, it is already done within. This inner knowing removes urgency. And urgency is the enemy of manifestation, because it comes from lack. Calm persistence comes from fulfillment. As persistence stabilizes, something powerful happens. You stop oscillating between hope and disappointment. Your inner world becomes steady. From this steadiness, inspired actions may arise naturally, but they are no longer desperate attempts to fix reality. They are expressions of alignment. People often mistake persistence for time. They believe they must wait a certain number of days, or repeat a process endlessly. But persistence is not about duration. It is about consistency of state. One moment of deep, unwavering assumption is more powerful than weeks of anxious effort. You will know persistence is working when you feel less concerned about outcomes. This detachment is not indifference. It is trust. Trust signals that the inner decision has been made. And once decided, the outer world has no alternative but to comply. Remember, life has no choice but to reflect what you consistently occupy. It cannot override your dominant state. When you persist, you are not convincing life, you are allowing it. You are removing resistance by no longer arguing with the process. So let circumstances do what they will. Let them change slowly or suddenly. It does not matter. What matters is where you stand within. Stand in certainty. Stand in fulfillment. Stand in calm expectation. This is persistence. When you choose inner loyalty over outer evidence, transformation becomes inevitable. The world will shift, not because you demanded it, but because you remain faithful to the truth you accepted within. Persistence over circumstance is the final mastery, and it guarantees the breakthrough you already claimed. Your breakthrough was never a matter of chance. It was a matter of alignment. The moment you stopped asking whether it was possible and began resting in the feeling that it is already done, you crossed an invisible line. From that point forward, life could no longer respond to the old version of you. Do not look to the world for confirmation. The world is still catching up. What matters now is that you remain loyal to what you have accepted within. Walk as one who knows. Think as one who has received. Feel as one who remembers. This inner certainty is not arrogance. It is truth. From this state, everything unfolds naturally. The right people appear. The right paths open. The right outcomes form without force. What once felt distant now moves toward you with ease because it recognizes you as its source. You are no longer preparing for change. You are living from it. And because this shift happened at the level of being, it cannot be undone. This is not a temporary high. It is a permanent awakening to your creative authority. Everything changes now because you changed first. Thank you for allowing yourself to pause long enough to listen. Thank you for choosing awareness over doubt and certainty over fear.